I can't remember much of my life before I was adopted. It was so long ago, but the process of how I got here is as fresh in my mind as the day it took place. I was 6 years old at the time, happy, energetic, caught up in my world of dolls, light-up sketchers, and Cartoon Network shows. I got into trouble sometimes, but in the end, all was well between me and my family. Our house was an old but pleasant one. When you first walk in, you see the front door. Where you're standing is on the farthest wall in the kitchen. Straight ahead from the door was the entrance to the living room. It had pale yellow walls and plenty of space between the faded couches and television for me to play in. Upstairs was a bathroom, my mother's room, and my room. Nothing too fancy, but that seemed to add a sense of coziness to everything. My mother was decent, as good as any other. Sometimes at night I try to squint up at the dark ceiling and picture her smiling, because I know she did smile, but nothing really rings a bell. I can only visualize her as dismissive and unenthusiastic. Like the last time I saw her. I didn't live with my biological dad, so it was just me and her in the house. My grandparents lived across the street, though, and they visited often. We were in the living room when it happened. I was sitting on the rug, playing with my Barbie dolls while the adults were talking. "I'm home," I tried to imitate Ken's voice before bursting into giggles. One of the adults were laughing at me, too. Delighted, I turned to smile warmly at my grandfather, who hadn't been looking in my direction. When I finally caught his eye, he looked confused. "Mom," I whined half an hour later, "is Kylie here yet?" Kylie was my favorite cousin, and my mom had said she'd be here soon, almost 2 hours ago. In a little bit, it would be dark outside. "Aunt Terry said they were on their way," my mother replied patiently. "Remember to open the door for them if I can't. The fastener bolt is in," she said before returning to her conversation with my grandparents. I rolled my eyes. Wasn't the alarm code enough security? Sighing, I continued to play by myself. I don't really know what happened next. I was holding my dolls, and my family seemed to be laughing. Then they got quieter and quieter, their voices disappearing like sugar in water until all that was left was ringing in my ears. The ringing became screeching, horrible crying and wailing that made me want to cover my ears and scream along, but I could barely process what was going on. I turned frantically to the couches, but my family was gone. Something had taken them away. I didn't know what, but it had swept everyone in the living room up like nothing, and I was next. My vision became tunneled. Everyone was gone. My house was gone. The only thing that mattered was the front door, which seemed miles away from where I was. I scrambled up to my feet. Is this even real? Is this a prank? Even if it was, I was focused on getting out. The alarm system. I raced to the front door, one hand turning the locks and the other frantically dancing across the keypad I could barely reach. Why are my arms so short? What's going on? Everything was going so well. My head was spinning and I couldn't focus on anything. Not even the stupid bolt that won't unlock. I tugged on the last chain desperately as I realized my heart wasn't the only thing increasing in volume. Footsteps were coming from the living room, and that's when I stopped trying the lock. I whipped around, pressing my back to the door. A tall, shadowy figure was looming in the doorway, and I couldn't do anything but stare, horrified. Every part of it was pitch black, like someone had thrown tar over a body. Its lanky arms thinned into clawed fingers that were stained red, and could cut through anything. Slowly, it turned its head, scanning the kitchen like a radar until it saw me at the door. Its mouth, that was set in a thin line, looked like it was layers under his face, and even with its bright white eyes, it looked emotionless. Something was dripping from its mouth, a light pink substance that burned holes into the tiled floor. Eyes wide, I watched as it reached up to wipe it away with a claw. When its head lifted to look back, black fog circled around its body. I realized it was beginning to shrink. It grew a tail, ears on top of its head, and 4 legs. A dog. Then it stretched slightly, the tail and ears disappearing as it stood on 2 legs to transform into a kid my age. It stayed like that for a moment, until finally it grew tall and lean, resembling a man. Normal, someone would say, though it was definitely anything but that. I remember the waiting, the moments that felt like hours, where I was too scared to move, to even breathe. There was no escape. I was going to die. I squeezed my eyes shut, awaiting my certain death. I didn't hear anything. No clink of a knife, no sword being unsheathed, no chainsaw revving up. I slowly opened my eyes and was locked into its gaze again. The house was quiet, nothing but the sound of dripping to fill the silence. Had someone left the sink on? Are they? I struggled to make my lips move. Are they all dead? The man looked at me for a moment before nodding. He turned, and I followed his gaze through a doorway to the stairwell where a tiny amount of blood was dripping from the railings. My mom's room was at the top of those stairs. They're all up there? Everyone? Even Kylie and Aunt Terry, and did he wipe out my entire family? Why? The man bent down slowly until he was crouched down to my height. A small cry freed itself from my dry throat as the man blankly stared at me before steadily extending his arm. I gasped shallowly. His fingers reached out towards me. I flinched as they got closer until they were right in front of my face. It stopped, hesitant, and tilted its head. Is it over yet? I didn't realize I had been crying until the man's fingers carefully wiped the tears from my cheeks. And that was the day I was adopted. I'm 14 now. We never spoke of what happened, but I understand. He knows I do. The door to my mom's room is locked shut. The stairwell stopped leaking. I've grown up with a parent so kind that I forget anything ever happened before. I don't need anyone else but him. I go to school. I talk with friends, and nobody knows. I laugh and smile at my father, and we go to the mall, restaurants, and birthday parties, and nothing is wrong. We look normal. It's better this way. I've never told anyone this story before, but I promise I'm okay. I don't know how all this happened, and I don't know why, but it's fine. I'm alive. I'm healthy. I'm here, and I have a loving father who I love back. I turned over in bed and flicked my lamp on. No use lying in the dark if I couldn't sleep. My eyes wandered to one of the darker corners where my lamp didn't reach well. There was something written on the wall from whoever lived in this room before my mom bought the house. I'd never noticed it before until a few years ago when my father came into the room and stared at it. In the years I had come to know him, he had never spoken a word. His face didn't show much expression, but it was like he was fond of it. I remember tilting my head. "What?" He made a motion, as if he were shrugging. Then he got up and looked at me for a moment. I smiled, confusion evident on my face. When he walked out after a minute, I squinted at the note. There was a thin layer of paint over it, like someone had tried to hide it, but it was still readable. It was something a middle school girl would write on the bathroom stalls. The names of her and her crush with hearts all around them. I scoffed. What's so special about this? Now, I kind of wonder who they were. I shut my light off and closed my eyes, turning the names over in my head until sleep came.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
Do you like apples?
Yeah.
Vanitas.
How do you like them apples?
Vanitas is a premium gaming peripheral brand geared toward developing high-performance products. We're currently working toward creating new, exciting, and unique products not currently found on the market. With quality to match its sleek and beautiful design, I can honestly say that my Vanitas mouse is the best that I've ever owned, and I'm looking forward to expanding my collection of Vanitas products. Vanitas ships internationally with extremely low international shipping costs, and shipping is free to the US and Canada. Your products will arrive quickly and carefully packaged, with most orders arriving within 7 to 10 business days. If you're looking to upgrade your setup in an affordable way without substituting looks, Vanitas is an optimal choice, and when you use code pressstartmom at checkout, Vanitas is offering a 10% discount on your order. You'll be doing mom a solid, and you'll be doing yourself a solid. Everyone wins. Thank you so much to Vanitas for sponsoring this video.
Can you see me? Hello? Can you find me? I'm here. Behind you, look. Behind you. I'm behind you. I am right behind you. Don't be scared. I just want to play a game with you. Hey, don't you run away. Please stay.
Incy Wincy Spider went up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. So Incy Wincy Spider went up the spout again.